All right, guys. So we got part 2 of the Twitter files. Part 1 was Matt Taibbi released it the other day in conjunction with Elon Musk. And you guys know the gist of that. We did a big, long segment on it. But effectively, you had the Trump White House was talking to Twitter to try to get things pulled. That's something they reported. Now, they didn't give any specifics on the Trump White House. I wish they did, right? But they didn't. But they said the Trump White House had a direct line to Twitter, and they were getting stuff pulled if they didn't like it. And then you had the Biden team had a direct line to Twitter. Now, the specific things they asked to get pulled down, this was the Biden campaign, it was before he was president, was basically Hunter Biden revenge porn. There were like dick pics of Hunter floating around and Hunter doing drugs floating around, and they wanted that stuff pulled, okay? Which I think is fair game because revenge porn is illegal in many states, as it should be. And then we learned that it actually wasn't Democratic officials pressuring Twitter to pull down the Hunter Biden laptop story. They did that on their own. It was Vijaya Gadde who did that. And so that's basically what we learned from the first round of the Twitter files. Now we have the second round, and I'll just give you guys the gist of it. Twitter has secret blacklists. That's the gist of it. This is from Barry Weiss, who's working with Elon Musk on this. A new Twitter files investigation reveals that teams of Twitter employees build blacklists, prevent disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limit the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics, all in secret without informing users. Twitter once had a mission to, quote, to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Along the way, barriers were nevertheless erected. So she goes on to give specific examples of this. So there's a Stanford doctor by the name of Jay Bhattacharya, and this person was against COVID lockdowns. They were arguing this at a time when that was the less popular position in the establishment. And so apparently he was somebody who had his tweets prevented from trending, even if they would, organically trend. And so they have all this information behind the scenes, Twitter does, about the certain restrictions on certain accounts. So another example is the Fox News guy, Dan Bongino. He had some rules that were implemented against him. He was on a search blacklist. He was on a not safe for work view. I don't know exactly what that one means, but search blacklist is when you search for him, he doesn't come up immediately. You have to really dig to find him. So he was part of that. And then we have Charlie Kirk. He do not amplify is what Charlie Kirk was under. There was a do not amplify thing, which I don't know exactly what that means, but that might be like he's not allowed to trend when he has a tweet that blows up. Or, they have ways of hiding certain people, shadow banning certain people, putting people in this weird limbo middle ground place where you can't grow as an account. And this is the gist of it here. Now, I will go on to say, yet again, I do find it kind of annoying that, so they do this whole thing, and then the only examples that they give are people on the right, when we know as a matter of fact that there are just as many people on the left, if not more, who are also shadow banned, blacklisted, destroyed by the algorithm, etc. And so look, it's good to know this information that hey, shadow banning is real. And it's good to know the specifics of it, but the lack of giving all the facts, giving all the information, again, in the Taibbi thread, he says, the Trump White House, when he was in power as president, they were getting stuff pulled down from Twitter, and they just gloss over that. And it's no, give me more on that too, right? I'm not saying protect the left or protect Democrats or whatever, but I'm saying if you're going to report critically on them and what went on with them, great, do it. But also give me the specifics on, the left-wing accounts that were shadow banned. Now, to Elon's credit, he actually is saying there's going to be all the information. You're going to know the status of your account. He's releasing some sort of a tool which is going to allow you to know the status of your account if you're shadow banned, what things sort of apply to you. And there's going to be a way to apply to get out of that, which is all good. I like all that. I think this actually is a rare good decision from Elon Musk. But also, look, I can't get through this segment without stating the other obvious point, which is, so they're saying oh my God, this is a bombshell. And I agree. I think it is a bombshell. I don't think, this shadow banning stuff should be real. I think that you should have a more open system, or whatever happens, happens. And if it goes in a bad direction, so be it. But Elon himself This is a guy, he himself advocated for shadow banning like a few weeks ago. So how much is this going to change? I don't think it's going to change that much. Remember that tweet where he said, I'm in favor of freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. And so if it's not a positive tweet, it's going to be basically like pushed down in the algorithm. So, I mean, you can't do the whole like, oh, bombshell, Twitter shadow banning. And then the next guy's like, yeah, bombshell, Twitter shadow banning. And I'm going to go ahead and continue that. No, you shouldn't do it either. They shouldn't have done it originally, and you shouldn't do it either. Now, again, this is a complex issue because there are upsides and downsides of both approaches. So one of the downsides of doing this, of having it free and open for real, is that there are going to be times when really unsavory things are going to trend. Like really, really bad things. And okay, what are you going to do? You know, it is what it is. I mean, I sort of file it under that category. But there is a trade-off here, right? Maximum freedom sometimes means the biggest charlatans get a really loud megaphone and get the biggest reach. Sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes it means genuinely hateful stuff can spread. Sometimes that's what happens. Look at like all the outlets that ran on or that were created with, we're all about free speech, and they really stuck to it. Some of them are just flat out Nazi central right now, you know? And there's an issue here because this butts heads with advertiser dollars. No advertiser is going to want to give money to a platform that's like, you know, hey, you could literally say anything that's illegal. Now, we could blame the advertisers for that, and I think that's fair. But also, that means there's just pressure that Twitter management, including Elon, are feeling that's like, I could be principled and just blow up the business, or I could do a little bit of moderation here and there and maybe be able to keep the lights on because the advertisers will keep giving us money. So these aren't easy decisions, and this is like a real complex situation. But the original promise of social media was that it's sort of like a utility. Like if you, like a phone company, for example, if you have a mafia person calls a hitman to go kill somebody, does anybody blame Verizon if they were using like a Verizon phone? Does anybody say, Verizon, you must do something about this? Nobody says that, right? Because they're like, it's just a service that's available for everybody, and there is no, like, they don't get involved. They don't hear the specifics. They don't get involved in it at all. It's just a medium. And but with social media, at some point along the way, that flipped. And people started saying, like, Twitter must do something, or Facebook must do something to address this. And I don't agree with that mindset at all. But that is where we are now. And so that's why you have a situation where they're doing the bombshell, shadow banning happening, and then in the next breath, Elon's like, and I'm going to continue it. Okay, so if that's the case, then you're leaking all the Twitter files from the previous ownership of Twitter. Are you going to leak your own files about what the conversations you guys are having right now? Because you should, if you believe in that maximum transparency for them and for the company currently. But you probably don't. You want to give yourself the secrecy, and you want to, you know, expose the stuff the previous people did. But anyway, there you have it. Shadow banning is real. It'll be interesting to see who from the left is on these lists, because I can name a bunch off the top of my head, probably including me. I'm sure I have some sort of a strike against my channel and or against my my Twitter in some way, right? I'm not sure the extent of it. I'm not sure how many strikes against it there are, but I know a lot of people who probably fall into this category, and it's just a shame they weren't highlighted because they deserve to be. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.